The world begins in calm. The morning sun stretches its gold fingers over the Colorado highlands as the Keller family SUV hums along an icy mountain highway. Tom grips the steering wheel, his reflection sharp in the glass, confident, maybe too much so. Mar sits beside him, one hand wrapped around a thermos of coffee, the other steadying her unease. The kids, Eli and Grace, share headphones in the back seat, heads bobbing to muffled music. A GPS voice cuts through the serenity. In 2 miles, take the next exit for County Road 17. Shortest route to Silver Pine. Tom smirks. See? Told you it's faster this way. Mara glances out the window where fog clings to the ridgelines like ghosts. Just make sure it's actually a road, Tom. He laughs, easing into the turn signal. The asphalt narrows, winding between skeletal trees dusted white. The SUV's tires crunch through thin snow. The radio hums a song about home in winter as the world begins to fade from familiar blue into cold gray. Far ahead, the clouds knit together. The storm is coming. The GPS keeps talking. And no one realizes they've already left safety behind. The GPS chimes again, its tone too cheerful for the landscape it commands. Turn left in 1,000 feet. Tom obeys without hesitation. The asphalt turns to gravel, and then to snow-packed dirt. The trees close in denser, darker, like the forest is swallowing the road. Mara peers through the windshield. Are you sure this still leads to Silver Pine? Yeah, Tom says. See, it says right here, fastest route. Grace looks up from her drawing. It's kind of pretty, though. Her voice is soft, innocent, unaware of the shifting danger. Eli chuckles. Yeah, if you're into horror movies. The road winds tighter. The sunlight dims behind growing clouds. Every bend feels more uncertain. Every tree more like a wall. The GPS arrow keeps pulsing forward, guiding them deeper into nowhere. The deeper they drive, the quieter it gets. The road feels more like a trail now, just 2 faint lines buried under layers of white. The signal bars on the phone flicker, then die. Mara leans forward. Tom, maybe we should turn back. He exhales, defensive. We're fine. It's just a bit of snow. A beat of silence passes. The wind brushes the car like fingertips. Grace whispers, "Why does the snow look thicker here?" Eli mutters, "Because nobody else drives this way." Tom's knuckles tighten on the wheel. Enough. All right, we're making good time. But the word good feels hollow, swallowed by the storm forming around them. Half an hour later, the road signs are gone. The last one they saw said, Silver Pine 14 miles. But that was before the snow thickened, before the road twisted into what feels like a loop. Mara leans toward the windshield, straining to see. I think we passed that bend before. Tom shakes his head, frustrated. No, we didn't. It just looks the same. The wipers screech against ice. The wipers screech against ice. The storm begins to whisper a low, endless hiss against the metal. Eli whispers, "Mom, what if the GPS is wrong?" Mara answers softly. Then we turn around. If we still can. Outside. The storm is closing its hands. Hours blur together. The GPS keeps repeating directions that no longer match the terrain. The road dips, curves, vanishes, returns. Then suddenly, stillness. The snowfall thickens into a curtain. Tom slows the car, searching the mirrors. No headlights behind. No tire tracks ahead. Mara whispers, "Tom, when's the last time we saw another car?" He doesn't answer. The silence feels heavy. Even the GPS pauses between commands, as if uncertain. Grace draws a heart on the fogged window, then erases it with her sleeve. Outside, the snow erases everything else. The road narrows until it feels more like a path carved by ghosts. The GPS stutters, the screen flickering blue, then black. Tom taps it once, twice, the digital voice choking mid-sentence. Then silence. Mara leans closer. What happened? Tom sighs. Just lost the signal. It'll come back. But his tone cracks slightly. Eli peers out the window. We're in the middle of nowhere, Dad. Grace shivers, pulling her blanket tighter. It's pretty, but it feels like it's watching us. The SUV's tires crunch deeper into snow that's turned to slush. The forest pressing in closer. The GPS screen glows faintly, showing only a blinking arrow surrounded by empty gray. The map has vanished, replaced by nothingness. Outside, the snow falls heavier, a curtain between them and the world they left behind. The silence becomes unbearable until Eli speaks, half grinning, half nervous. So, this is it, huh? We're in the back rooms of winter. Mara gives a small laugh despite herself. The what? The back rooms? You know places that look normal, but wrong. You get lost, can't get out. Tom exhales sharply through his nose. Cut it out. You're not helping. Grace hugs her knees. It's not funny, but Eli looks down, realizing she's right. Outside, the wind picks up, howling through the trees. It almost sounds like voices whispers echoing between the trunks. The car moves slower now, the world shrinking to what the headlights can touch. Beyond that, nothing but white, endless, and waiting. Up ahead, the road divides. One path veers right, faint tire marks visible beneath the snow. The other turns left, pristine and untouched, a ribbon of white that seems to vanish into fog. Tom slows, scanning both directions. Right or left? Mara squints through the glass. Take the one with tracks. At least someone's used it. Eli leans forward. Maybe the GPS would told us left. Tom hesitates. A single snowflake lands on the windshield and melts instantly. We'll go right. The SUV lurches that way, tires grinding into the slushy grooves. The decision feels small, but it's the kind that changes everything. For a while, it seems fine. The road dips, winding between thick pines. Then it narrows again, too narrow for comfort. The tire tracks fade, replaced by deep drifts. Tom mutters, "Must have just snowed harder here." Mara doesn't answer. Her hand grips the dashboard like it might steady the world. Eli stares out at the passing blur of white. This doesn't feel right. The wind moans, carrying the sound of snapping branches. Grace whispers, "Dad, the road's gone." And it is. The ground ahead levels into an open stretch of snow, where the path simply ends. Tom brakes, staring ahead in disbelief. Behind them, the tracks are already vanishing under fresh powder. Tom throws the SUV into reverse, trying to backtrack before the trail disappears. The tires spin thin, catch thin, lurch sideways. The vehicle slides toward the edge of a slope half hidden by snow. Mara screams, "Tom!" He jerks the wheel, braking hard. The SUV fishtails, the rear end tipping dangerously toward the drop. The world tilts, a flash of white, a rush of weightless fear. Then the tires grip again. The SUV stops inches from the ravine. For a moment, no one breathes. Tom's voice shakes. We're okay. We're okay. But outside, the storm doesn't stop. It only tightens. The storm thickens into a white curtain, and when Tom tries to move the SUV forward again, the tires just spin. He shifts, reverses, accelerates, gently nothing. The vehicle sinks deeper, the wheels digging into snow that's more ice than powder. Tom mutters curses under his breath. Mara's voice is calm but trembling. "Stop, Tom. You'll just bury us deeper." He leans back, chest heaving. The engine idles with a low, hopeless hum. Eli wipes condensation from his window. "So, we're stuck," Grace whispers. "For how long?" No one answers. Outside, the wind howls against the car like it's testing the seals, searching for a way in. The temperature inside begins to drop. A tiny puff of fog rises with each breath, faint proof that they're still alive for now. Tom pulls out his phone, checks the screen bars. He lifts it toward the window, waves it near the dash. Still nothing. Mara tries hers. The same. We're too high, Tom mutters. Mountains block the tower signal. Eli sighs. So, what now? Mara looks back at the kids. No, we wait. Someone will come by. But even as she says it, the road outside looks arrested. No tracks, no sound, no hint that another soul exists within miles. The storm has sealed them off completely. Grace presses her face to the cold glass. The snow's covering the car. Tom glances out. She's right. The drifts are rising fast, creeping up the doors like white hands. Hours pass. The daylight dims to gray, then blue. The SUV is now half submerged in snow. Inside, the family's movements slow, voices lower. Tom turns off the engine to save fuel. The silence is immediate, deafening. They eat quietly granola bars, a few chips, half a bottle of water each. Eli forces a smile. Guess we're camping. Mara answers softly. Just like camping. But her voice breaks on the last word. Grace pulls her blanket tighter. What if no one knows we're here? Tom's eyes harden. Someone will. They'll find the car. He says it like he believes it. But in his chest, the doubt has already started to grow roots. Night deepens. The storm rages harder, and the wind takes on a strange quality almost like words. Grace lifts her head. Did you hear that? Mara listens. There it is again. A faint cry. Distant but human, or maybe just the wind slipping between the trees. Tom shakes his head. It's nothing. Just air currents. Eli stares out into the dark, eyes wide. It sounded like someone calling for help. No one speaks after that. The sound rises once more, then fades. The snow outside lashes against the glass, and the darkness presses closer, whispering in tones only the mountain understands. The temperature drops below 0. Ice creeps up the interior windows, curling like delicate glass roots. The SUV rocks slightly under the force of the wind. Mara whispers, "We have to stay warm. We'll take turns resting." Tom nods, staring out into the swirling void. There's no horizon anymore, just snow and darkness blending into one. Grace curls against Mara's chest, her breath small and shallow. Eli wraps his coat around her. Outside, the mountain disappears into a white abyss. Inside, time dissolves. The world narrows to breath, heartbeat, and hope. And somewhere, buried beneath miles of storm, a GPS keeps repeating a single word that no one hears anymore: recalculating. By dawn, the storm has become an ocean. The SUV is buried up to its windows, snow packed tight against the doors. Inside, the air is dry and cold enough to sting each breath. Tom stares through the frost-covered windshield, jaw clenched, mind turning behind tired eyes. "I'm going," he says quietly. Mara turns sharply. "No, you're not. If I can make it down to the main road. Maybe there's a ranger post. A signal? Something." Her voice cracks. "Tom, you'll die out there." He looks back at the kid Zelly still sleeping, Grace curled against her mother. "If I stay, we all might." He pulls on his coat, scarf, gloves stiff with frost. The silence that follows feels sacred, terrifying. Mara leans forward and kisses his cheek, her lips trembling against his frozen skin. Tom opens the door and the blizzard screams as if angry has disturbed it. The door slams shut, and Mara is alone with the children. The sound of the storm outside feels louder now, hungrier. She props a blanket against the door crack to keep out the cold, and then gathers the kids close. Eli stirs. "Where's Dad?" She forces a steady voice. He's just checking the road. He'll be back soon. Grace blinks groggily. He took the flashlight. Mara strokes her daughter's hair. That's good. He'll see better. But as she speaks, her eyes drift toward the window. There is nothing out there, just shifting gray. She presses her hand against the frosted glass, as if her touch could reach him through miles of storm. By midday, the temperature drops even lower. The last of the SUV's heat fades as the gas gauge hits empty. The air becomes heavy with the smell of metal and cold breath. Mara wraps the kids tighter in the blankets. Eli rubs his sister's hands, trying to spark warmth. Grace whispers, "It hurts when I breathe." "I know, honey. Just breathe slow." The frost climbs higher along the glass, lace-like patterns closing off the outside world completely. The sound of the wind merges with the ticking of the cooling engine like a clock winding down. Mara looks toward the seat Tom left empty and imagines his voice. "Hold them close. I'm coming back." She closes her eyes and believes it because she has to. As afternoon bleeds into evening, fatigue and cold twist perception. Grace stirs suddenly, eyes glassy, staring through the iced-over window. "Mama," she whispers. "There's someone out there." Mara freezes. "What?" Grace points to me, trembling finger tracing a faint silhouette in the swirling white. A figure, moving, or maybe just the play of snow and shadow. Eli leans over. There's nothing. But then he sees it too, a shape, tall and indistinct, standing in the storm. Mara's heart hammers. She calls out, voice muffled by the snow-glazed glass. "Tom, the figure doesn't move." Then, like smoke, it dissolves back into the blizzard. Night again. The storm rages without pause. Mara sits awake, fighting sleep, every muscle aching. Then something outside. A low, distant shout carried by the wind. She jerks upright. "Tom!" Eli lifts his head, heart pounding. "Did you hear that?" They listen, silence. Then again, faint but real, a voice calling through the white. "Hello, anybody there?" Mara's breath catches. "Help. Oh God." She fumbles for the flashlight, flashes it through the window. "Here. We're here." But the snow smothers sound, absorbs light. The voice fades. The world returns to white. And Mara's whisper fills the silence that follows. "Please come back." The storm has thinned to a ghostly drizzle of snow, but the world remains deathly still. Somewhere below the ridgeline, a figure stumbles through waist-deep drifts. Tom. His face is burned raw from wind and frost. His breath comes in shallow, painful bursts. His flashlight flickers, then dies. He falls to his knees. Every step feels like dragging a mountain behind him. He mutters to himself, voice hoarse and broken. "Just a little farther. Keep moving." The horizon blurs into a palette of blue and white. His vision swims. He sees shapes, a roofline, maybe, a chimney, maybe, or just his mind fracturing under the cold. His hands tremble uncontrollably. He tries to stand again and collapses forward into the snow. But before the darkness takes him, he hears it. A voice, steady and distant. "Hey, over here." Then nothing. Tom wakes to warmth faint but real. The world around him glows orange, and for a moment, he thinks he's dreaming. Then the smell hits him. Smoke, wood, and heat. He's inside a ranger cabin. A man's voice cuts through the haze. "You're lucky, friend. Another hour and you'd have been part of the mountain." Tom blinks hard, struggling to focus. The man kneeling beside him is weathered, gray-bearded, wrapped in a ranger parka with Holt stitched above the pocket. Tom tries to sit up. "My family, they're still out there on North Road, County 17, stuck in the snow." Ranger Holt nods, already pulling on gloves. "We'll get to them. But you need to stay still. You've got frostbite. Tom grabs his arm. Please, they won't survive another night. The ranger meets his gaze. Then we don't wait. By mid-morning, the storm breaks. 2 snowmobiles cut across the vast expanse of Whiteout, leading, Tom clinging to the second one, despite his injuries. The sound of engines rips through the silence like salvation itself. The road, once invisible, reveals faint humps where the SUV might be buried. Holt raises a gloved hand. There! That ridge! Tom jumps off before the vehicle stops, running, stumbling, shouting their names. Mara, Eli, Grace. His voice echoes across the snow, swallowed almost instantly. He spots a small mound of uneven white, the roof of the SUV just visible beneath the drift. He falls to his knees, clawing at the snow with frozen hands. Hang on, he gasps. I'm here. The rescuers dig, shovels slicing through ice until metal thuds beneath their hands. Holt shouts, "We've got the vehicle!" Tom rips open the door. It resists, then bursts free with a cloud of frozen air. Inside, Mara blinks against the sudden light, her face pale, lips cracked but alive. Grace stirs under a blanket. Eli coughs weakly, eyes opening. Mara's voice trembles, half cry, half breath. "You came back." Tom pulls her into his arms, sobbing. "I told you I would." Holt crouches at the door, checking pulses, calling in coordinates on his radio. "We've got survivors. Multiple. Repeat survivors." For the first time in 2 days, the wind carries something other than silence, the sound of life returning. By the time they reach the main road, the sun is rising. A red and gold sky spills over the horizon, lighting the mountains in fire. The snow sparkles like glass. The world, for a moment, feels reborn. Tom sits in the rescue vehicle, Mara's hand in his, both wrapped in blankets. Eli and Grace sleep pressed against each other. Ranger Holt drives ahead, his radio murmuring updates to the base. Tom looks back through the frosted window, watching the mountain fade into distance, a place that nearly became their tomb. On the dashboard of their abandoned SUV, buried in the snow behind them, the GPS screen flickers faintly to life. Recalculating. 2 days later, the storm has cleared, leaving a world scrubbed, clean, and silent. The Kellers sit in a small mountain hospital room, wrapped in white sheets, IVs threading through pale arms. Reporters swarm the parking lot below like crows, circling a miracle. Through the window, the peaks glisten indifferent, beautiful, eternal. A nurse enters softly, adjusting Mara's blanket. "You're lucky," she says. "They almost didn't find you." Tom manages a weak smile. Luck had nothing to do with it. Outside, a reporter's voice cuts through the thin glass. "Family rescued after GPS leads them into deadly snow maze." Cameras flash. Headlines scroll. But inside the room, all that matters is breath, warmth, and the sound of their children sleeping. A week later, the story has gone viral. Morning shows, podcasts, and safety blogs dissect every choice they made. Satellite images, GPS maps, experts pointing to where the signal dropped. Their GPS wasn't wrong. One analyst explains on camera, pointer tracing the jagged mountain routes. It just didn't know the roads were closed. Tom watches the news in silence, his reflection flickering in the TV glass. Every word feels like a small blade. Mara mutes the volume. He'll never understand what it felt like. He nods. No, you can't plot that kind of fear on a map. The TV screen fades to a still image of their family, smiling for the camera outside the hospital. Below it, the headline reads, "Digital dependence nearly claims 4 lives." Tom's therapy sessions begin 3 weeks later. The office smells of cedar and coffee, but the silence feels heavy. "Do you still dream about it?" the therapist asks. Tom stares out the window. Not dreams. More like the mountain breathing. "Every time the wind hits the house, I hear it again, that storm. That sound." He pauses, hands trembling slightly. And sometimes I think maybe it wasn't the GPS that led us there. Maybe it was me. The therapist studies him quietly, then says, "It led you into the storm, but you led them out." For the first time in days, Tom allows himself to breathe deeply, the kind that hurts but heals. Winter comes again sooner than they expect. One morning, light snow drifts outside the school windows. Grace freezes mid-lesson, her pencil trembling in her hand. Eli, older now, sitting across the hall, stares out too, the same color, the same silence. That night, Mara finds them both awake. "It's just snow," she whispers. "Not that kind of snow." Grace shakes her head. But what if it happens again? Mara sits on the edge of the bed, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's cheek. Then we don't follow the voice that doesn't know the mountain. Outside, flakes swirl softly against the glass, harmless and slow. But inside, the air still remembers. Months later, the spring thaw uncovers what the storm buried. The SUV sits at the edge of a ravine, half melted from the snowpack, windows shattered by frost. Mara stands at the guardrail, alone this time. The air smells of pine and wet earth. Birds sing where there was once only wind. She steps forward, lays her gloved hand on the cold metal hood. Beneath the cracked windshield, the GPS still rests in its mount, dark, lifeless. She whispers, "You almost took everything from me." Then quietly, "But you didn't." As she turns away, sunlight catches the shattered glass, scattering it across the snow like stars. Late autumn. The mountain road glistens with the season's first thin layer of snow. A red pickup truck hums up the same winding highway where the Kellers once drove. Inside, a young man, maybe 28, taps the GPS screen mounted on his dash. The digital voice chimes brightly. "Take the next left for a faster route to Silver Pine." He smirks. "Perfect. Gonna shave 20 minutes easy." He turns. The road narrowing, trees closing in, the same forest swallowing sound. Outside, clouds gather over the ridgeline, not yet a storm, but heavy, thoughtful, remembering. The pickup disappears into the timberline. The same voice repeats its promise. Continue for 12 miles on County Road 17. At a gas station just off the highway, a Ranger truck idles. Holt leans against the pump, his breath curling in the chilled air. He spots the red pickup pulling out of the lot, heading toward the turnoff he knows too well. He frowns. "Hey," he calls, stepping forward. But the driver doesn't hear him, music blaring, engine rumbling. Holt shakes his head, muttering to himself, "They never listen." The wind picks up, scattering dry snow across the asphalt. He watches until the truck disappears around the same bend that swallowed the Kellers, and for a brief second he imagines he hears Mara Keller's voice echo in the distance. Don't follow the voice that doesn't know the mountain. The red pickup snakes through the same mountain corridor, the same skeletal trees. The GPS continues, cheerful, oblivious. Stay on this road for 6 miles. The snow thickens. The radio fades to static. The driver leans closer to the windshield, squinting through the blur. A road sign flashes past, half buried, unreadable. He mutters, "Weird place for a shortcut." Then, as the fog rolls in, the tires crunch into deeper snow, traction fading. The forest grows darker. The GPS glitches, screen flickering. Recalculating. He exhales sharply. Not this again. By the time the Ranger reaches the first bend, snow is already sweeping sideways in violent sheets. The same storm patterns, the same frozen breath of the mountain. The young man's pickup appears faintly through the whiteout, crawling forward, brake lights glowing like twin embers. Holt grips the wheel, whispering, "Turn back, son. Turn back." But the truck disappears around the curve. Lightning flashes over the ridgeline, revealing a landscape of ghostly trees and half-buried road signs. The The storm has come home again, and the mountain exhales, as if reclaiming what it was never finished with. The storm swallows the mountain whole once more. Wind screams through the trees, and the GPS voice repeats inside the pickup, calm as a prayer, recalculating. Holt's truck halts near the same turn where he once found Tom Keller. He steps out into the gale, shouting, "Stop!" The road's closed. His voice vanishes into the white void. Down the slope, the pickup's headlights flicker, then vanish completely. The snow keeps falling. The wind howls on. And somewhere deep in the blizzard, a familiar voice, synthetic, unfeeling, whispers again through static, "Shortest route to Silver Pine. Recalculating. Fade to white."